Good morning. Thanks for joining me. Welcome to the channel. Today is another attempt to attach a 360 camera to the underneath of a DJI Spark, this time using hot glue. The previous attempt at attaching a camera beneath a DJI Spark resulted in catastrophic failure. The camera suspended by strings. Well, have a look for the video if you'd like to see more. So that leads me on to today's attempt. Why hot glue? Well, I wanted to avoid the pendulum effect of a camera far beneath the Spark on strings. This pendulum effect worsened rather than stabilized, so I had to come up with something. I first of all fabricated a hot glue mount, but it was far too heavy, so I decided to just hot glue a 1/4-20 tripod adapter direct to one of the batteries of the Spark. Why the battery? Well, when we look at the Spark, the central point underneath is certainly within the battery, so that was the obvious choice, to give the Spark every chance to maintain stability during any takeoff and flight. I've had Sparks tip over when taking off from the box that the Spark arrives in. I class as my takeoff box. It's a safe spot when you're out and about. Yes, it blows about with the downwind from the downdraft from the Spark, but that's no big deal. It's a safe takeoff point. On this particular day I didn't have it absolutely level, and the Spark just tilted and stopped, which is a good safety measure. So how would I take off this time with a great big 360 camera protruding beneath its belly? I had a couple of ideas. The first one was to fill a tube with lead ballast from a previous tugboat project. A cardboard tube wouldn't give any interference for either the camera or the Spark, and hopefully it would be stable enough to stay there while the Spark initially stabilized during takeoff. So that was the plan, and this is what we saw. I fired up the Spark, fired up the camera. This was only ever going to be a test flight. I certainly wasn't going above treetops or rooftops. This was just a flight to see if the Spark could handle the weight. So let's have a look at the video. After waiting an eternity for enough satellites, we were cleared for takeoff. Auto takeoff was selected, and the Spark did its best. Well, that didn't work. The stability wasn't there. So I either aborted the whole test procedure or try a palm launch, kneeling down so the Spark didn't have far to go if it decided to descend, and also my 360 camera with the vulnerable plastic lenses wouldn't have far to fall should the Spark decide to come into land abruptly. And again, this is what we saw. The Spark working hard, engines revving a bit more than usual, eventually took off from my hand, but it decided to hover at a much higher height than normal. Why? I don't know. I'll ponder over that in the coming days. I'm not sure whether the branches of the tree in my front garden saved me losing the Spark. Who knows? It might have just carried on rising, climbing, and eventually flying away. Who knows? But we see in this instance the Spark tries to maintain stability, rises up, eventually touches the branches of the tree and subsequently crashes, breaking off the camera mount. Luckily not at the camera, it broke it out of the hot glue. It survived, and I decided to test my Spark again. Because it had hot glue still on its belly, I took it off from the tube, and as you can see, it flies well and even allows me a palm landing. So, summing up, I'm afraid this 360 camera is outside the spec of what the DJI Spark can lift and control. Thanks for joining me along this journey. We've learnt a bit. We've still got the gear intact. All that's bruised is my ego. I'll recover, just as the Spark did. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you've lasted this long and you've enjoyed the video at all. If you haven't enjoyed it, give me a thumbs down twice. Thanks for watching.